Welcome to Gist with Jonathan. On the evening of May 29, 1967, following the collapse of the Aburi Accord, then Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu-Ojukwu began a broadcast that would change the course of Nigeria's history. The broadcast, which started on May 29th, ended on May 30th. It was not a long broadcast, however. That broadcast declared the secession of Southeast region from Nigeria, and the independent Republic of Biafra was birthed. The 33-year-old Oxford graduate son of one of Nigeria's leading businessmen, who was the governor of Eastern region, made a case for the necessity and inevitability of Biafra Republic. At a public event in Lagos years after the end of the Biafra War, Chukwuemeka Ojukwu had returned from exile. He met General Yakubu Gowon and they embraced as old friends would. Reporters asked Ojukwu if the embrace with General Gowon meant the civil war was truly over and reconciliation in full swing. Ojukwu responded, and I quote, "The problem that led to the declaration of Biafra cannot be resolved by a mere embrace of two old friends." Dr. Chekwa Sokore was beside Ojukwu when he made that iconic statement. What were the problems that led to the declaration of the independent Republic of Biafra? The Aburi Accord, which was midwifed by General Joseph Arthur Ankara, then head of state of Ghana, contained agreements on how best to coexist in Nigeria as a united nation. It was agreed that Nigeria will run as a confederation with a regional autonomy. General Yakubu Gowon, on return to Lagos, backed out of the agreement and instead created 12 states out of the regions, thus further cementing the unitary style of government, which the Aburi Accord, had it been implemented, would have automatically abrogated. The state's creation happened on May 27, 1967.
But at the end of it, I don't want to go because these things are all, the tapes are available, the records are there. In fact, only about 2 weeks ago, I saw a set of the records again. The transcripts are available. But we talked about the Nigerian situation. And certainly, at the end, everybody says, oh, you told them this, you did that. The fact was that our case was so clear that I actually believe at the end of Aburi that the problem was not Gowon, but probably some ambassadors in Lagos who were pressing for something else. Because we understood each other, we agreed on every single point. The drafting was, in fact, my chief secretary with two other chief secretaries from the other side. They said, no. And drafted and agreed. We looked at it, we agreed. General Ankara read over the whole report again to us at the end. Asked us if we wanted to amend anything. No. At the end of all that, the position was so good that actually Ankara drove Jack Gowon and myself to the airport. Jack was sitting on his left, I was sitting on his right. He was in the middle. And in the course of that journey, at a point, General Ankara shook his head and said, oh, thank you. Thank you. If only we can go on like this, everything would be all right. I believe. I was the one. As I do now from time to time, I go for the dramatic. Suddenly I picked up Gowon's hand, put it on Ankara's lap, brought my other hand, placed it on it, and I said, General Sir, hold us together, I want to say something. So General Ankara put his hand on top of the two hands, and I said, General, I want to assure you that I am totally satisfied with everything we said. I will even go further and say to you something I did not say at the conference, and that is that once we have implemented everything we have said, I would ask you for one favor and one favor only, and that would be to be the one to propose Jack Gawan as a head of state of Nigeria.
The Eastern Consultative Assembly met and mandated Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu-Ojukwu to declare the independent Republic of Biafra. Ojukwu's speech of May 30, 1967, he talked about 3 harrowing waves of genocide against people of the Southeast in 1945, 1953, and 1966. He claimed that nearly 40,000 people lost their lives.
As did Eastern Nigeria and her people, no section had made as many and varied positive contributions towards the realization of true unity. Having over the years spearheaded the movement for closer union, having demonstrated our faith in Nigeria in concrete terms by allowing our sons and daughters to sojourn in other parts of the country, thereby contributing tremendously to the development of such areas to the neglect of our own, it was a hard decision for us to take to opt out of a federation in which we had invested so much. But we had no real choice. Over the years, our erstwhile compatriots had made it clear in unmistakable terms that they did not want us in the Federation. Since the 1950s, our people were expropriated and discriminated against in parts of Nigeria other than their own. Furthermore, the experience of the 3 harrowing waves of remorseless genocide in 1945, 1953, and especially in 1966, involving a total of nearly 40,000 dead and countless others maimed or destitute, provided an object lesson which could not but be taken seriously. Self-preservation is probably the strongest human instinct, and it is this that has compelled the harassed and persecuted people of Eastern Nigeria to seek refuge in their own home and amongst their kindred.
All people from the Southeast were regarded as Igbos and were treated the same way. It didn't matter whether you were Ijo, Ibibio, Ndoki, Efik, as long as you were from the Southeast, you were called Igbo. The creation of 12 states by Gowon in 1967 has been regarded by historians and analysts as the final straw that led to the Civil War. After the Colonel Ojukwu speech of May 30, 1967, declaring the independent Republic of Biafra, Gowon dismissed it and declared it a rebellion and vowed to crush it. For 1 month, nothing happened, or so it seemed. Both sides, history shows, were amassing arms and troops. On July 6th, Nigeria launched the war, which lasted for 30 months and took 3 million southeastern lives, according to most estimates. It has been 56 years since the end of the Biafra War and the Republic of Biafra. It is ironic that no one has said, thank God, the circumstances and conditions that led to Biafra are no more today. Not even the federal government of Nigeria has made such a declaration 56 years later. According to Dr. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu-Ojukwu, founder of APGA and convener of Igbo Agenda Dialogue, Gowon announced a policy of no victor, no vanquished, and a policy of rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation. Nothing has been done deliberately to rehabilitate, reconcile, and reconstruct. Today, Southeast has more than 10,000 erosion sites. The deliberate abandonment of the eastern seaports were designed to scatter Easterners and force them to abandon the East. The creation of 774 local government areas is another action that was counter to the 3 R's. Desert areas carved out as if local government areas are created for the administration of animals instead of human beings. There has been a deliberate attempt by the successive governments to make Igbo understand that they lost that war, according to Chekwas Okorie. Through media interviews, Chekwas have posited that the federal government neglect of the Southeast is part of the reasons for agitation in the region. According to him, I have challenged anybody to show me one project in the Southeast started and completed within the 16 years of the PDP administration in Nigeria. None, he said. It's been said that some of the conditions that led to the Southeast secession are prevalent today. After the military coup that killed General Aguiyi and some other military officers, General Gowon became the head of state. Many Igbos and indeed Southeasterners felt politically isolated. They were treated with suspicion by people from other tribes. Today, Southeasterners feel that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is hostile to Igbo. They feel left out and isolated, not only by the executive branch, but also the judiciary and legislative branch, have exacerbated the marginalization. Even in business, Igbo do not feel they have a level playing field. Ethnic tensions are so high today. Critics of Tinubu administration claim that his appointments and policies have escalated suspicions of nepotism and marginalization of some ethnic groups and persons. Igbos who get appointed to federal positions are seen as mere tokens to color the regime. Traders and property developers of Igbo extraction in Lagos State have challenges with the government. Licenses and approvals are withdrawn arbitrarily. It could be described as political backlash for Peter Obi defeating Asiwaju Tinubu in Lagos during the 2023 presidential election. Movement for Actualization of Sovereign State of Biafra, MASSOB, was founded in 1999. The founder, Ralph Uwazirike, is a lawyer trained in India. MASSOB was embraced by young Igbo people who actually believed in the utopian message of Ralph Uwazirike. He promised them the actualization of a Biafra where the ills of normal society will be non-existent. In the process, Uwazirike became very wealthy. Although he started out as non-violent, before long, MASSOB had some run-ins with security agencies, leading to several detentions of Uwazirike by law enforcement agencies. The Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, IPOB, was founded by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in 2012. Kanu was director of Radio Biafra, established by Ralph Uwazirike in London. Before then, Nnamdi Kanu was the chairman of ABGA in the UK. He lost interest in ABGA and Nigerian politics because of the long leadership crisis in the parties. Kanu is serving a life sentence at the Sokoto prison, having been convicted of terrorism-related charges. He was kidnapped by Nigerian security agents in Kano and brought to face prosecution in Nigeria by the Buhari administration. The government claimed he jumped bail. Majority of Igbo consider Kanu a political prisoner, whose major crime is that he is an Igbo man who was agitating for his people. They point to Sunday Igboho, a Yoruba agitator who joined in the formation of Yoruba Republic. Igboho is not in jail. He walks the streets freely. Also, the so-called repentant militants and bandits who have blood on their hands but are rehabilitated and released back into society. Igbo leaders and groups consistently appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to grant Kanu an unconditional release or pardon or commutation of sentence. Coups are no longer fashionable. I don't think Nigerians would embrace a military government today, no matter how benevolent. Even with all of its imperfections, we have come to appreciate the democratic system of government. Towards the end of his life, the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu-Ojukwu transitioned from a geographical and physical Biafra to a new Biafra. He called it the Biafra of the mind. A philosophical Biafra that aspires to those ideas which are only limited by our imaginations. It is a Biafra that says we can go as high as our dreams would go, with only limitations being how high we are willing to aim. Many Igbos make the mistake of thinking that the Biafra war affected only them. Nothing can be further from the truth. While Igbo bore the major brunt of the war, other ethnic nationalities also suffered. For instance, people from other ethnic nationalities who have resided in the East before the war, some who had been there for generations, were forced to abandon their livelihoods and property to relocate. Relationships were destroyed, some leading to catastrophic outcomes. They were also victims of the Biafra War. The sun set on Biafra Republic on January 15, 1970. We may glimpse a few rays of the sun, but set it did. We shall never forget the 3 million of our fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters who paid the ultimate price for a dream foisted on our people. We mourn them to this day. Some of the scars remain, but we're resilient people. Our focus shall and must remain with the Biafra of the mind, which the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu-Ojukwu declared before his passing in 2011. That is the best honor for our fallen heroes, and a dream lost at conception. Never again, we must say. I am a Nigerian, a very proud Nigerian, but today I have Biafra on my mind. This is our show. I am Jonathan Elendo.